How's it going, guys, and welcome to Gaming Evolved. I'm Shifty Cow, and in today's video we have another episode of Forumfield for you guys. So if you guys do go on to enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like down below, and if you're new to our channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button as we do post Battlefield content daily. Now, the first post we're going to be talking about today is about adding in a World War I or World War II DLC into Battlefield 4. Now, a lot of people have kind of speculated or at least asked for a World War I or World War II game from the Battlefield series as kind of a spin-off or a side game, kind of like how Battlefield Hardline or Bad Company isn't quite a main Battlefield game, but it's kind of a spin-off type thing. And already people have said, you know what, this really wouldn't work for a standalone game because there's really not enough customization. In Battlefield 4, there is an insane amount of customization that people have really just come to expect from Battlefield, so by having a World War I or World War II game, they wouldn't be able to add that level of customization, and so they probably wouldn't get as many sales and all that type of stuff, and their main goal of a game is to make money. They do really want to create a fun game that everyone likes to play, but the biggest goal is to make money because it is a business, so they don't want to do something where it's just a standalone game, because chances are it would be a very specific audience. I personally would really love it if they did something like this, but what this guy is suggesting is rather than making a full-fledged game just for World War I or something like that, instead just make a DLC that's maybe paid or free, because DICE has been just pumping out a ton of free content for Battlefield 4, maybe have 3 or 4 guns, just try and find some historical weapons that you can use, and then put it into kind of a standalone DLC that you can only use those weapons in. So you can't have something like the AEK running around in trenches just destroying everyone. No, you have to use something like the Mosin Nagant, the M1 Garand, something like that. That would be a really cool way to have some cool dynamics. You'd have some very limited customization, which is why it should be a DLC, not a game, because it's going to be a very specific audience. But say you have some battle pickups like a Tommy gun, or you can get up to a giant machine gun and hold E or interact with it, and you can hop onto that and just start mowing people down who are trying to run across some land. That would be a really cool game, and I would really enjoy it if they did something like this. And maybe not in Battlefield 4, because we are kind of moving out of that cycle, and maybe for Battlefield 5 we might see some kind of DLC. But I really don't see them doing a standalone game unless they had to do some kind of modifications, so that way they have more customizations, because it's really just an insane amount of customization that people come to expect nowadays, and it'd be really tough to make all that work in a World War I or World War II game. Now, the next post is talking about the skill stat, and it says, I've always noticed this while checking on my stats and stuff. What's the point of the skill number and how is it calculated? Now, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually a combination of your KDR, your kills per minute, and your score per minute. So it's kind of just an overall number that's generated through some kind of thing that tells you basically just how well you kill people, how often you kill people, and how much you play the objective. So it's a pretty good number, but it's kind of hard to understand. And really, I think it'd be way easier if they kind of just left that out, because the skill number doesn't really matter. If you can see their score per minute, kills per minute, and your KD ratio right there, because it's on the same screen, it's right next to it, so I really don't get why they actually put this in there, but it is kind of a cool number to show kind of an overall player, but they could have done a lot of different things to better show if a player is good or not. Personally, I think they could do a lot better job showing off how good a player was able to play the objective, get kills, and all that type of stuff. So it'd be cool if they actually replaced the skill stat with maybe something that was like a KD or a score per minute that was only tracking like the last 10 games or maybe the last week of playing. So that way, rather than showing your overall stats, it showed your recent stats to show if you were actually good now. Because right now, on Xbox One, I have a KD of like 1.45, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, but I don't really feel like those stats accurately represent how well I can play on the battlefield. So it'd be cool if they had something that was more of a recent game, so that way it could show if you were doing really well, you were going double, triple, maybe 4 times positive recently, but you had a very slow start and you still have a pretty average or poor overall KD ratio. So that'd be a really cool thing to throw in, because a lot of people do consistently go check people's KD to see if they're good, check their score per minute, all that type of stuff. And so I think that'd be a really cool way to kind of show off how well a player is able to perform. Now, the last post we're going to be talking about is about the snipers and the spring patch, and it says, as every patch comes out, the snipers as a whole and those that are supposed to be used aggressively keep getting nerfed. I hate sitting in mountain sniping, but I really used to enjoy aggressive sniping. The sniper's hipfire, damage, magazine has been nerfed, and oh yeah, the defensive perk. Please revisit the issue or at least test something that makes aggressive sniping a bit more of a viable playstyle. Now, I'm assuming this is in response to the nerf that was hit with the M40 and the L96 where they reduced their bullet count from like 10 or 11 down to 5, and I really do not understand why they did this. The M40 was a very popular weapon and I can kinda see that because it did have a very fast rate of fire and it's personally one of my favorite weapons, but the L96, I have no idea why they nerfed this weapon. For the most part, it had pretty decent stats, overall an average rate of fire, that type of thing, but its bullet velocity was just absolutely terrible. It was really slow, and you really notice that at longer ranges. Even at medium ranges, maybe 50 to 60 meters, you'd still have to lead them pretty decently if the target was moving, and it was kind of annoying, and there was really no reason not to use something like the M40, so I don't understand why they nerfed both of them, because the L96 was in a pretty okay-ish spot, even that it was probably underpowered, and I really don't understand this patch at all. So moving on to the defensive perk, I am still really surprised that this is in the game in the way that it is. It completely destroys the consistency of aggressive recon, and there's really been no adjustments to it whatsoever. First of all, it's set as the default for pretty much all of the classes, so if you don't change it, it's just going to stay there as the defensive perk, and the first unlock reduces all damage from pretty much just snipers right now by 7%, so that's going to leave your person with 7% health left, and then they're just going to mow you down. So without the defensive perk, maybe the developers just feel that sniping is going to be insanely overpowered and everyone's just going to be quickscoping left and right, and while I do understand that they don't want that type of gameplay, I really think that they should just take it out of the game because it already is pretty difficult to snipe someone at close range. If they have a fully automatic weapon, chances are if you miss your first shot, you're pretty much screwed, and if you even try to move, your bullet's going to go way off path from where you're aiming at, and if you get suppressed, it's going to do pretty much the same thing. So it's still a pretty challenging task, and I really do think you should be rewarded for quickscoping someone in the chest or neck area and not having to worry about them having 7% health and then mowing you down. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you have anything you'd like us to talk about, be sure to tell us down in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button, go check out our Twitter, go sub to our second channel, and until next time, guys, stay buttery.